Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Agoracom, when we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out important news. Usually it's beyond the press release. Today it's going to be beyond the press releases because Jay Hutton, CEO of VSBLTY Groupe, VSBY in Canada, VSBGF for our friends in the US, 5VS for friends in Europe, have put up multiple press releases, and they're all amazing. So we're going to talk about them. But for those of you new to the company, and we know it's going to be a lot of you, here's what you need to know. Here's the official tagline of the company. They're a disruptive computer vision software company, okay? Keep that in mind. Computer vision software company using artificial intelligence and machine learning to transform the retail and security space. So what does that mean? Two things all you have to understand in order to really understand the power of visibility. First, they teach computers how to interpret their surroundings. So in a retail environment, it's what's the demographic here? Older, younger, male, female, determines, interprets, and then delivers messages in context to that demographic, right? Changing retail forever. On the security side, same thing, right? Take a look. What are the surroundings? Dangerous, calm, people of interest that shouldn't be here, delivers context via alerts so humans can do what they got to do. You put those together and visibility truly has intersected marketing security, all right? And more than just lip service, just one thing alone, their distributions via leading worldwide channel partners. So this is way beyond R&D. It's way beyond an idea. And here to talk about the company, Jay Hutton. Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you, George.
You've had quite the run of press releases since we last spoke, and these are all pretty impactful. But before we talk about those press releases, because there are new people, in about 60 seconds or 90, whatever the case, talk about the three elements that visibility brings together that makes you guys so unique and so powerful in this space.
Sure. Three discrete elements: data analytics, computers capable of analyzing spaces, physical spaces, for meaningful input. This might be the number of people. This might be the number of males, the number of females, the number of 25-year-olds, the number of happy people versus sad people. All this information gathered up for a retail context to provide value to retailers. Think of operational efficiency in these COVID days. We're managing the number of people that are live in a store for occupancy management, just a really quick example. But also to brands. If you're PepsiCo, you want to know how people are engaging with your brand at the point of decision, where the rubber hits the road. So that's incredibly valuable and will change, as you said, I love that comment, will change retail forever. I mean, we're in the middle of a major disruptive influence in retail. The second part of our business, again, inspired by computer vision, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, is security. We have an Achilles heel in security, and that's us, human beings, who are now challenged to take the input of tens, hundreds, thousands of CCTV cameras to draw meaning, to figure out what's going on in front of that camera.
And my head just can't swivel fast enough to
this
be able to figure that out.
This is the perfect thing to be relinquished to computers. Computers are better at analyzing spaces. We're not asking operators to relinquish decision-making to computers, because that would be the robot era that we're not any of us ready for. But giving that operator more data in live views increases the efficacy and the effectiveness of CCTV networks. The point here is we're moving from forensic, investigative, what happened when something went down, to prevention and predictive. And that's what AI, artificial intelligence, gives us in the security space. And it will change the way security is conducted.
And the third element?
Oh, sorry. Visual display, data analytics, and security. All of them combined together. So if you think of a store example, it would be, I'm displaying PepsiCo promotion, using the Pepsi example for a moment. I'm measuring the performance of that display against specific demographics, and I'm looking simultaneously for shoplifters, would be the greatest example. So all those things combined together, visibility is the only entity in the world that meshes those three capabilities together in a single deliverable.
Because there are companies who do those individually, right?
For sure. Yeah. In fact, in the content management space, the display piece, there's maybe 500 or 600 of those companies. It's a crowded category. In the data analytics space, there's 3 or 4 that we sort of pay attention to. And the security space, there might be another 3 or 4. But here's the important point. None of them repeat. There's a set of competitors in the data capture space and the data analytics space that are different than the competitors in the content management space and different than the participants in the security space. So I think we've got a unique value proposition.
And this is, guys, the disruptive technology that Agoracom is so bullish on this decade. You know, our thesis that disruptive technology companies are going to create 3 times more wealth this decade than the last 3 decades combined. Why? Because the convergence of AI, machine learning, data analytics, all that companies like VSBLTY 10 years ago couldn't have done. You would have needed a war chest of money, a war chest of people. I don't even know how you would have done it, but now VSBLTY can act like a major company.
Excellent point. 10 years ago, you couldn't do this. The principal barrier was technological. In order for you to do computer vision with inference logic, which is precisely what we do, 10 years ago, in 2009, you would need a Cray supercomputer, buried in the desert somewhere that's liquid cooled. This is the speed with which silicon is moving. And, there's a sense, those of us that have been around a while, that maybe it's not moving as fast as it used to move. Not true. It's continuing to accept Moore's law. We doubling the cost of the processor, doubling the capability and lowering the cost 50% every, whatever it is, 18 months. So that's what's happening in the space. And that's why AI, computer vision specifically, which is a component of AI, is pronounced in terms of its explosive potential at the moment.
And one more tech term, because you used it and I loved it in our last interview, inference logic.
Yes.
Just explain to people, what is inference logic?
Inference logic is simply an algorithm. In the trading world, in the finance space, those algorithms are meant to identify when a stock is about to trade, when a stock is about to break out. And, these are algorithms that, using history, archive data, can develop predictive methodologies about how a stock might perform. Applied to the computer vision space, it's an algorithm. Inference logic is an algorithm that is able to determine for me probabilistically, like that George is a 40-year-old male, as an example. So based upon history, based upon millions of data sets, we can derive inference logic that will allow us to draw that conclusion with pretty good accuracy. We do that for age, gender, sentiment, dwell, footfall counting, license plate detection, etc.
Man, unbelievable. Super. Yeah, I want to make sure people knew that. And that's powerful. By the way, if your personal inference logic says I'm 40, then you need to work on yours. But thank goodness I'm 50. So thank goodness we're not using your inference logic. It's actually VSBLTY's proprietary technology.
I meant to do that as an example of how human beings are less accurate than algorithms.
There you go. There you go. Well, point taken.
Yeah.
So let's go into more than just lip service. How you are partnering and the things that you're doing is unbelievable. So February 4th, you partnered with 911 Inform.
Yeah.
That's a deal to improve emergency response, safety, and security in schools, amongst other places. So people at school say, oh, I've heard that before. People want to improve security, emergency response. I've heard that. How big is 911 Inform? And what are you guys doing that's so unique? Because it's in the press release, that's so unique about the offering, that this isn't just your normal course emergency response solution.
It's a sleeper deal. I wish it weren't, because public companies like to talk about their deals with as much detail as possible, but it's kind of a sleeper deal. And this is why. There are 2 initiatives, legislative initiatives, that are just beginning to kick in 2021. And if you'll allow me a quick detour about the sort of background of this technology. 911, the new Biden administration, I don't know the exact number, but it's billions of dollars that they've committed to putting into the 911 infrastructure, supporting 2 legislative initiatives, Raybaum's Law and Kerry's Law, both of which, without too much detail, both of which increase the granularity or location accuracy of 911. So that if I call from a mobile phone, today, as of this moment, the accuracy of location is hit and miss, George. It can be a kilometer away, which from a response point of view is a real problem. right?
That's a disaster.
It basically makes first responders' job considerably more difficult. So when we scanned the space, we knew that schools were going to be a place where investment was going to be made. Tragically, because active shooters and just the tragedy of that environment. So we looked across the landscape and we tried to find the folks that were the leaders in that category. Frost & Sullivan, a leading think tank analyst company,
Sure.
identified 911 Inform as the most innovative public safety solution for 2020. And that's, you don't pay for that. That's something that's given to you as a result of a landscape review and the various competitors in the marketplace. So what we do with them, they increase the accuracy of 911 location data by mapping buildings. The principal buildings that they map are schools. If you understand how mapping happens, you have an x-axis and a y-axis that will tell you that the 911 call comes from the gymnasium. But if the gymnasium has 2 floors above it, you may not have the fact that it's the 3rd floor, because location data doesn't deliver that z-axis, the depth axis. So again, same problem. Responders are coming to the wrong spot. So what we're doing with them is we're taking their super accurate location data brought to them by intelligent mapping of buildings, schools, hospitals principally, commercial buildings thirdly, and we're overlaying video data. So if George calls from the gymnasium and has identified there's an active shooter, we can plug into the video cameras. We can overlay that data so that the 911 call is coupled with video. So now there's situational awareness. Now the responders have context of what's happening. And what's really cool about this, 911 Inform has built an app that a first responder, when they go to the scene, they can press a button and that app opens up all the context for that location. It's not a brand new platform. It's an app that every guy carries a mobile phone and they can do this live. So the impact in the marketplace will be profound, because we're now giving, if that Florida shooting happened with this capability, we would have been able to direct people to places where the shooter wasn't. You exit the building in this way. The shooter's over here. So we're talking about situational awareness, single dashboard, overlaying video with facial recognition and weapons detection directly for first responders. So we're really excited about it. And I think it's going to have an enormous impact in the market.
Well, 2 things that come out of that. One is third-party validation. The fact that 911 Inform, who is, as you said, Frost & Sullivan recognized as #1, made you guys a partner. So that alone is great third-party validation. But you also believe that you're going to be able to roll this out to 500 schools, seems like primarily New Jersey, but other states as well, for about $3.6 million in revenue just this year alone. That's just, getting going right now. How does the rollout plan look like for 2022 and onward?
We're building that now. I can tell you that the pipeline has 30,000 schools in it. Now, the overall addressable marketplace in the US is 130,000 K-12. That's for the time being, removing a higher ed. No universities, no college, no community college, none of that. Just the schools marketplace is 130,000 unique locations. I'm not Pollyanna enough to believe that we're going to dominate the marketplace, get all of those. But a good segment is considerable revenue for visibility. Well, and it's a unique offering. And sorry, last thing, George.
Of course, don't go.
Because of the 911 infrastructure build out and because of financing for schools, it's a place where funding is available, which of course is very relevant from a technology adoption point of view.
Yeah, 3-4 years ago, that might have been a problem. Great solution, and schools looking at saying we don't have the budget. No, that's amazing. That's third-party validation and revenue already. If it's 500 schools right off the bat in the first year, I've got to think as a business guy, and I'm not going to put numbers out there or your mouth, but we know that 500 is the first year. After that, there's an exponential build on top of that.
You can easily do the math. You can easily do the math, and I'll provide the mechanics of that math for the viewer. 500 schools, an average of 20 cameras per school, an average of facial recognition and weapons detection. We can do more, of course. License plate detection. Is there an unknown car in the parking lot? We can do crowd counting. Do we have the, we're expecting 600 kids. How many kids do we have in the school? That sort of thing is relevant from a public safety point of view. But just assuming $20 per camera, $20 cameras, $20 a camera, that's your revenue per school per month. And we do 3-year contracts, and we'll book, we book the entire contract at the front, and then over time we take the bookings and we turn into a billing. So the bookings is the backlog, and the billings is the real-time revenue cadence.
So for everyone at home, the X factor is, and you got to decide it, which is 500 schools this year. How many does that climb to next year? How many does that climb to the year after? And if you have some acumen in business, you know that there's an exponential move there, because you're getting better benefit out of your sales and marketing. And
George, when we come up with a number like that, especially when we come up with a number that's meant to go in a press release, because we do appreciate that shareholders want guidance on that. We don't come up with the number. We ask our partner to come up with the number. So it's important that they do it, because they know their marketplace better than we're enabling technology. We're meant to bolt on to what they have. So they understand their demand. They understand their cadence. They're in a better position to judge the scale of that. So I can tell you they've exposed to us their 2nd and 3rd year growth estimates, but for the time being, we're restricting our comments to the 1st year. Can't wait to see how that unveils. And more importantly, what I really love, can't wait to see how that really helps students stay safe. That's a great double bonus. Next up, February 9th. And it's amazing how these partnerships, really vary. Like it's almost like they're coming from everywhere for you. You unveiled a partnership with VSBLTY Enterprise. That's for cutting edge cameras integrated into a new media network of up to 10,000 convenience stores in Latin America. So here you are. Then there's the stores in Latin America, and VSBLTY Enterprise is in Taiwan. Is a Taiwan-based company, sorry. How big is VSBLTY Enterprise? I mean, obviously they're a big company. They're looking at up to 10,000 convenience stores just in Latin America. So VSBLTY Corp is Taipei-based. They're a public company trading in the neighborhood of a $4 to $5 billion U.S. market cap. Not a small organization. I didn't even know that. Thanks for telling me that. Brought to us, introduced to us by Intel. This is a company inside the Intel ecosystem, if you will. What they're doing is they're taking Intel AI chips and putting those chips on the camera. We have been working with Intel for 3 or 4 years. We're in a place where once that chip is on that camera, we can throw our software onto that camera. So now we've got a camera that is both doing the compute and the visual. So before Gen 1, as you deploy an artificial intelligence network, you would have a computer and you would have a camera, and they would work together. The AI inference logic would run on the computer. The camera would provide the visuals. We're pushing those together. The compute is happening on the camera. And we only bring up the convenience store network because that's the first place we're going to go. Actually, it's the second place. We've already deployed this camera in Benito Juarez, which is a section of Mexico City. And it is, more than anything, it is incredibly disruptive. It lowers the cost of entry for security AI by 90%. So if before I was spending $1 million to develop a surveillance network for a neighborhood or a city or a community, now I'm spending $100,000. And the inference logic, your favorite phrase, is running on the camera, not on the compute. So the compute goes away, no longer a requirement. It's running on the camera. And this has long-term viability for VSBLTY. I don't know what 2 guys and a dog in Silicon Valley are building. I couldn't possibly know. But knowing what I know about the marketplace, this is a world's first, particularly as it relates to production deployments, which we're in right now. We're not talking about a future state. We're talking about what we're doing right now. So we're excited about that. And that has impact on the 911 Inform deal. As you know, it cross-pollinates to every other deal, because if I can take the cost of entry from $1,500, which is camera, and $500 for compute, which is where it is now for smart cameras, $2,000. If I can drop that point of entry to under $500, there are places I can go that I couldn't go before.
Sure.
So there's a real opportunity for us here.
But what does it also say? I'll tell you what excites me the most about this is that Intel went to Ability and said, you should be calling Visibility.
It's not just that, George.
That's power. I mean, how many small cap companies have two multi-billion-dollar companies talk to each other saying, let's go to this small cap company. They're the guys.
It's slightly different than how you characterized it, but in a better way. Intel provides the introduction. We work with Ability and Intel. Intel doesn't leave the party. They stay and help us co-develop this initiative together, because what's in it for Intel is success between Ability and Visibility means they move more chips. So they stay close to this development. They know how pioneering it is, and they're part of the commercial go-to-market conversation. And that to me is exciting. I'm excited by the innovation. I'm a geek. I love innovation. But I get real excited about how we put these groups together to formulate a really bona fide, attractive go-to-market. And that's the part that is interesting to me.
Well, you like the geek part, and the shareholders at home love
the
Fortune 500 part of all that, which I think is tremendous. By the way, if we just talk about 911 info on its own, would have been a great interview. If we talked just about EOS Links on its own, would have been a great interview. We talked about two of those, and then the last one. Sorry, if we talked about Ability, and now you got EOS Links, right? February 16th, a partnership just a couple of days ago with EOS Links to provide a solar-powered security solution, right? And providing security solutions at solar farms installed by EOS's affiliates. Where did that come from? Whoever would have known that you need that?
Understand the connected tissue here. The connected tissue is, now we got this camera that breaks all the rules of how you build artificial intelligence, computer vision networks in the past. We've blown up the economic value proposition, right? We're in a completely different space now. And the solar farm marketplace has a unique set of problems. The problems are, they're in the middle of armpit nowhere, right? They're 2,000 acres with a bunch of solar panels, all of which are worth $10,000 a piece. And it's a carrot for the bad guys because no one's there. You can go at night, you can steal a few panels, and you can create a black market and that happens all the time. So what about the ability to use computer vision? Because it doesn't make economic sense to put a guard there 24/7.
Couldn't do it anyways. I was going to walk around 1,000 acres or whatever they got.
So cameras deployed at the perimeter, cameras deployed at entrance to identify vehicles coming and going, persons coming and going, daytime, nighttime, IoT sensors that sense the operating parameters of the panels. All of this is building a solution which is uniquely articulated and customized for solar industry. We saw it coming 3 or 4 months ago. We built a relationship with Renewable Energy Alternatives, a company out of Missouri that does a lot of the financing for solar farms. And they're deploying us first in solar farms that they own, and where we're going from there is the broader market. Critical infrastructure protection, which solar farms is a variant of, has demand for computer vision because the economic model of 24/7 guards does not make sense. We now have computer vision that, using remote sensing, has the same ability,
And you're already, again, love it. You're already installing. So these aren't ideas. First one, I'm going to read off here. Initially installing 15 to 20 internal and perimeter cameras, starting with a Puerto Rico solar facility. So you're already hitting the ground running.
Yep.
And your quote, we are the first in the industry to develop computer vision AI solutions specifically for solar fields and other critical infrastructure applications. So does the phone start ringing at some point from George Com Solar?
Say that. I've now heard from 3 CEOs from other companies doing solar infrastructure who say, finally, someone's got a security solution for us because it's a problem for us. Now, the first thing I do is I take my experts, EOS, and I say, EOS, these guys contacted us. Let's have a joint dialogue about how we satisfy their issues. So I expect that marketplace to grow and grow in short order.
There's 3 press releases right there, Jay. I mean,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, amazing. You were on what, 10 days ago?
Last 10 days, since February the 4th, I guess.
Yeah, since yeah, a little more than that. And look what you come out. So I'm gonna leave last word to you. I mean, I love all 3 of these releases. All 3 of them are with major players within their individual verticals. Or is your phone just ringing off the hook? Is it just ringing? Is it just ringing off the hook from everywhere, from opportunities every single day? Because it's not like you guys focus on one vertical. What's it like at Visibility's on the biz dev side, on the pipeline side?
Well, thankfully, I'm supported by a really crack team of BD executives that are helping me allay, that demand. I think I said to you off camera that demand is not a problem here. And because I'm an operator, that's how I'm wired. I'm wired as an operator. So my focus is on execution. We didn't even talk, George, about the biggest deal the company signed in the history of the organization, a letter of intent we signed with Anheuser-Busch on December the 1st. In the next couple of weeks or so, maybe as long as a month, we'll have that go to definitive contract. And that's a meteoric deal for us in terms of its potential for the organization. So to answer your question, we're very focused on execution. The fact that we've done these deals is causing the phone to ring, but we're triaging, right? We're not dealing with people that are playing with this. We're dealing with people that are actively engaged in deployment. Because I don't want to wake up one day and have 4,000 projects that I've got 3 people to serve. So we're being very
911 Inform, 500 schools this year.
Yeah.
Ability Enterprise, 10,000 convenience stores in Latin America. EOS Links already to the first solar facility in Puerto Rico. Yeah, that's what you're definitely doing a great job of triaging. You don't waste your time with Agoracom who thinks and has ideas and wants to talk your ear off for a day. Yeah. You're actually talking to the partners and the customers that have an immediate need, and that's exciting. And this story is only beginning, and I can't wait. When are we gonna have you back on again? Another 10 days? I mean, this is unbelievable.
Like that, yeah.
You might set a record. You know that, Jay. You might set a record for most interviews in a year, but that's because the news just keeps on coming. Last word to you for everybody at home who's watching this we're doing it on a Friday, but it's going to be watching this on Sunday evening. Last word to you about, what shareholders should know.
This company, we look our career. I'm old, right? So I've seen a few cycles, and I've made good investment decisions and I've made bad investment decisions. We all look for being not too early, because that has its own cost, opportunity cost as much as anything, and not too late. And I think Visibility, even though we've had a reasonable run in the last 90 days, we're just beginning in terms of the market cap journey. And I believe that, number one, we're at that inflection point. You look for the inflection point, and on every indication, I think we're exactly there. Number two, the partners that we're dealing with, there's just in our core partner base, there's 3 S&P component companies, 3 of them. And, I'm proud of that. They're not easy to do. You have to be patient, but I think they're going to help us really force multiply what we're doing. And then the third thing is we have a couple of deals that are independent of anything else, significant crystallizing opportunities for the organization. And they're just beginning to get appreciated by the marketplace. Those are really the 3 things that I think you ought to look for.
Jay, thanks for joining us, my friend. I know that you've got a lot to do, but the fact that you take this time out to speak with your shareholders and then prospective investors who are watching this to learn about the company is awesome. And what I really like about what you do on these, this is our second one, is you speak in language that people understand. Because you could easily lose people with artificial intelligence, data capture. You could lose people and talk in jargon, but you convey the message in a way that investors understand, and that's even more appreciated by everybody.
Thank you, George. Appreciate that.
For everybody at home, time for you to do your due diligence. You've been watching, or maybe you've been listening by podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, or your favorite podcast platform. To Jay Hutton, CEO, VSBLTY Group. You see the name of the company right there over his left shoulder. Trades on the CSC under the stock symbol VSBY. For our friends in the US, VSBGF. And for our friends in Europe, 5VS. Do your due diligence. We know that this is not the great thing about disruptive tech companies is they're creating their own explosive markets. The difficult challenge part of that is it's hard sometimes to understand what they do because these are new explosive markets and it's not bottled water. It's not selling, a mouse or something like that we all understand. So you got to do your due diligence. We've made it easy. Get to Agoracom, get to the VSBLTY Hub and take a look at the profile page there where we in layman's terms really try and lay out for you what the company's all about. Secondly, you've watched this interview. If you haven't watched it, this is the first interview, grab that one as well that we did with Jake. Has a great overview of the technology. And then last but not least, from Agoracom, link over the VSBLTY site. Powerfully visual, great information. And that should pretty much give you everything you need to conduct your due diligence so that you don't come back a year from now and say, you didn't tell me so, because we've told you so. That's VSBLTY. Have a great day. See you next time.
Thank you, George.